Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, we are here today to talk about the concept of season passes in games. Because, well, they might be changing up just a little bit. Now, on this channel, we're a fighting game channel. You know fighting games love their season passes. In fact, fighting games are the ones that popularized the season pass to begin with. This whole crazy season pass thing, you can basically thank Mortal Kombat 9 for kind of bringing it to the limelight. Like, yes, technically, LA Noire had their season pass just a couple days before, but Mortal Kombat is very much what put the idea on the map. And then, well, now, like, every game has season passes. It's just a fact of life, right? And sure enough, like, the idea is fine. Like, we're basically pre-selling you a bunch of content to come up over the course of the next XYZ time frame. And for fighting games, that means more characters, which are the primary form of gameplay. That's what we like. Sometimes new stages or cosmetics as well. And the problem is the form the season pass comes in can sometimes be what you would call anti-consumer, and that now may be changing thanks to an update about how Steam has its policies. So Steam recently updated how their policies work in regards to season passes specifically. This affects all games across all genres, not specifically fighting games, because there's a lot of bad practices across all games, but we're going to talk about it in the fighting game context. Reading one of the most relevant parts right here. By offering a season pass, you are promising future content. In the process of launching a season pass, you will be asked to commit to a launch timing for each content release in the season pass. That launch timing is a commitment to both customers and Steam. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC will be ready to launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. And that's pretty strongly worded, right? And fighting games sometimes have a problem with those exact things. You are probably well aware of the practice of, okay, here's the season pass, please buy it. What's in it? Well, wait and see. You're expected to give your money up front on good faith that will have XYZ amount of characters in a rough time frame of launch. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there is a certain charm to this, right? Not knowing what's coming, and then of course you get the cool reveal, right? Like, trailer drops, we don't know who's next, it's a big mystery, and then, oh, we're gonna get that really neat reveal, who's next? Now we're finding out, oh, it's Julia, awesome, right? Big surprise, everybody's happy. So from, like the hype front, we love hype here in the fighting game community, right? That is awesome. But from a consumer point where you're asked to give up your money up front, it is admittedly less awesome. This is a fight we already had in the Street Fighter 5 days where Capcom would sell us, the pass. We don't know all the characters. We're just asked to give up the money up front. And eventually, Capcom just sort of said, okay, you know what? We're just going to reveal everyone all at once. And I think people were still pretty happy. It's not like people weren't excited that they got to see all the characters, for like, say, Arcade Edition at the same time. I guess you could argue you couldn't drip feed the hype, right? You just kind of did it all at once, but still, people are happy. And then when you bought the season pass, you knew exactly what you were going to get ahead of time. And it's mostly now just become the industry standard, right? If you're offering a season pass, whatever game you may be, we're just going to show you all the characters you're actually going to get ahead of time. And if we got a bunch of big reveals, Mortal Kombat 11 is a great example of this, right? It was like kind of bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. If you got a bunch of big reveals, you're getting them all at the same time. Can't drip feed them for like maximum SEO and all that kind of stuff, but hey, here we go all at once. And once again, I think this is the best move for the consumer, but not every fighting game follows that model still, with of the major titles, Tekken being the primary example. But now, well, with Steam's update, maybe Tekken kind of has to join all the other games in just revealing everyone ahead of time. Once again, Steam's own wording here. If you are not ready to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC and when each DLC is ready for launch, you shouldn't offer a season pass on Steam. Now, that does seem pretty dry, right? But there's a lot of caveats to that. Like one, hey, technically, Tekken does not offer a season pass. They have a character pass, which is only part of the deluxe edition, which is a separate thing, like, little legalese things, right? And in the updated Steam document, which I will link in the video description if you want to read it all for yourself, there is some room for additional wriggle room on this. Like, a couple things are basically what you would expect. Expected release date for each DLC, quarter and year, i.e. January to March 2025, or season/year is acceptable. Of course, the date that's more precise is also fine. So when they say, like, for upcoming Street Fighter 6, Mai is winter 2025, meaning she'll be out probably sometime in January or February. That's perfectly fine. They've given an accurate time frame for the launch, but not necessarily having to give a very specific day. We know all the contents in the Season 2 pass for Street Fighter 6, and we have rough time frames for all the characters, so they're already well within the new Steam guidelines. In comparison, Tekken 8 gives rough seasonal guidelines, which is perfectly fine, but there is no idea of what you're buying other than there's new characters. And again, you must clearly communicate about the content that's included in each DLC, or don't offer a season pass. So once again, it feels pretty explicit, but the wriggle room later in the document is this. Needed is a basic description of the content that's included in each DLC. For example, the first content release might be the Glitterlands expansion, new area to explore, 2 new weapons, and new enemies. And this is for like any given game, right? Not just a fighting game. It is not required for the DLC to have a final name at the launch of the season pass, so it doesn't have to say the Glitterlands expansion, right? The information about the content in the DLC doesn't need to be detailed. Simply new weapons or 2 new weapons is acceptable. They don't have to list the exact weapons. Now, this is the wriggle room, basically. So do they also mean, for the context of fighting games, simply saying new characters, but they don't have to list the new characters? To me, the characters are exactly why you're buying or not buying any given season pass, right? It's certainly more pertinent to your purchase than, say, 2 new weapons. Like, I don't need to know if it's 2 new weapons, if it's like the Sword of Dark Isles and the Power Hammer or whatever. It doesn't particularly matter to me. It's just new weapons, right? But if it's new characters, and let's say using the Tekken 8 example here, if I knew the season pass contained Armor King and Anna Williams, then that absolutely would inform my purchasing decision. It kind of comes down to the wording, right? Like, what kind of content in the season pass is considered critical knowledge for the season pass? The way it's worded here that, you have to clearly communicate about the content included in each DLC, tells me that, for major DLC, like a character in a fighting game, you got to really put it up front. But some of the other just wording seemingly allows a little bit of wriggle room on it. All I can really say, it's definitely personally my preference to know everything up front. Like, maybe you might lose a hype, surprise trailer moment, but I think it's more hype to know what I'm getting ahead of time, like, let me know what I'm actually buying. Or you could do like Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Like, they're keeping it a bit of a mystery, right? Ken and Chun-Li and nobody else, but they're also giving it away for completely free. If you want to give away your season pass for free, then hey, I guess I have no problems. And certainly whatever these rules may fully take form in, they're not necessarily going to backdate, right? Like, today or tomorrow, Namco's not going to have to reveal the last character just because of these changes. Whatever's in place is already in place and assuredly grandfathered in. So basically, this is a change we won't see take shape until like sometime next year. It's a fight we had basically years ago, and almost everyone's on board except for a few companies, and now Steam seemingly is forcing the issue, and that's why I kind of deem this newsworthy. Once again, check the video description if you want all the exact terms here. I'll have the link for you, and I would love to know your thought on the matter. How exactly do you like your season pass? Post in the comments below. And besides that, well, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some fighting games.